Hi lovely people, hope you're doing well. Welcome to my channel, and today we're making naan bread. So I'm just mixing in the dry ingredients. Whenever I'm making a flat bread, I like using my flat surface. So sorry guys, I lost the files where I mixed the dry ingredients, but I've indicated all of them on the ingredients list. And I mixed that with the flour, and then I added the egg, the yogurt, the oil, and half cup of water. Although I added a quarter cup more water, I guess it's because I used 3 cups of flour because the recipe says 2.5 to 3 cups. Now, this is not my recipe originally. I borrowed from here and there. I first got interested with it when I saw it on Facebook, and then I learned how it's done on YouTube. Previously, I've always bought naan from Costco just because it's so affordable. I think it's $2 for a pack of about 10. So that's really good. But this time I decided to just give it a try because everyone was saying it's easy, and it really is. So I let it rest for an hour, and as you can see, it was really puffy. And then I am knocking back and then dividing it into to the desired size. I need 10 balls to make 10 naan bread, and so I'm rolling it just like the way you would a dinner roll, and then I set it aside to rest, and then it will proof again, of course, while I make my stew. So this is what I'm doing that division, and then move over to the stove to make the chicken curry. I have one chopped onion, 1 cup of plain yogurt. I have my garlic and coriander paste. I have 2 bay leaves here. I have a paprika and half a cube beef cube. I have cumin, grounded cumin. I have turmeric, which is vital in this recipe. And I have a poultry mix, poultry seasoning. This is it. I just find it tasty with chicken. And then I have a thing of blended tomatoes and my oil. So that is what I'm using today. And I'm just getting my chicken from the oven. It's already nicely cooked and brown. So I'm just going to keep it there to cool as I start frying the curry. So I start with the bay leaf, and then I'm going to add my onions. Now for a curry, for the original curry, you would need to add some other spices like the mustard seed, cumin seeds into the hot oil. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going for a really mild curry. I'm adding the onion, and before it browns, I will add the spices so that they can have a chance to cook before I add anything else. So I'm starting with the paprika and the beef cube. I'm just going to crush that in, and then I will add the cumin, the turmeric, and the poultry spice. This is a mixture of spices that are just good for poultry. I use them in pork as well, and they blend really, really well. So I'm going to just add those on top, and then I will add my garlic and coriander paste and let it cook together. So after adding the garlic paste, I'm going to stir this together, and the onion will continue cooking, and you cannot believe the smell they're giving out right now. When these spices come together like this, especially the turmeric, it just gives such a good smell, and you can tell the flavor is going to be great. So after this, I will add the tomatoes slowly at first, and then I'll pour in the whole thing. I'm using a lot of tomatoes and also yogurt because I want this meal to also be eaten the next day. This is the kind of meal that you want to serve also the next day because it retains such amazing flavors. And even if you add water when heating up the stew, it still tastes so good. So I'm adding the oil from the chicken just to flavor it, and also add a little more oil because well, it had enough, but a little more wouldn't hurt because this is a curry. So I'm adding that tomato little by little just to see how it works. And I do feel like I need the whole of that jug. So I've added in a little bit more salt, and I'm going to be trying to balance the flavors right at this point. So I'll add some sugar also at some point, and even a little lemon juice, just to bring the flavors together and also make them even more enticing and good. So I've added in my yogurt, and I'm just clearing that cup, so making sure that I get all of it out. And so I'm going to wait for this curry to be really hot and come to a boil. I've added in the lemon juice and some sugar, and then I'm going to add in my chicken. The chicken is already baked, and of course it tastes really good because I had seasoned it before I stored it, and also the baking makes it even more tasty. So after adding this chicken, it's not going to cook for much longer because the chicken is cooked through and through. We're just going to let it mix with the curry so that the flavors come together. So I've stirred in the chicken, and I want it to just, for the curry to just boil over while it's simmering. I want it to come on top all by itself. I will not be turning it too much just because I want it to just simmer and for the flavors to just come together. So I will let this do its thing for a while, and then I'll finish it off with some fresh chopped coriander, and then I'll set it aside so that I start cooking the naan. So that is what I'm doing right now. And then I'll just set it aside. I know it will cool a bit, but we'll have to reheat it just before service. So we are back at the naan station. My naan has profen a bit, and so I'm just going to roll it straight away. I don't have to knock it back. I'm going to roll it not too big like a chapati because I want it to be a nice medium size, just a perfect naan size. Naans are never too big, so that is the size I'm going for. So I want to roll out several before I start cooking so I don't have to rush back and forth. And how we are going to make this naan once we put them in the pan is that we are going to lay it on the pan and then apply some water on the top side, and then once we flip on the other side, we'll apply some butter. Now I know some people apply the butter once the naan is cooked, once all the naan have cooked, and they apply the butter while it's sitting on the plate, but I prefer to actually apply the butter just after turning because I don't want to overcook the naan. I don't want to flip it too many times. I just want to put water on one side, butter on the other side, and then it sits with that butter. That means it will taste even better because the buttery taste gets to sift through. That is just my thought process, and it worked because the butter naan was so tasty, like you could taste the butter when eating. So I think my plan worked. It was just a feeling, and I just went with it. So everybody loved the naan, and it went so well with the chicken. But I had to add some rice on the side just because I found the chickens too flavorful. Usually, I find a lot of curries too flavorful, and I just like to have the rice there to just tone it down, but that is just me. So I served it with a bit of rice, and I do love the naan. Like I said, I always buy it and just warm it and serve it with some curries. But I found the process to be a bit longer than chapati. It could be because I've cooked chapati all my life since the time I could cook chapati. But I didn't exactly like the waiting part, having to wait for an hour, because for chapati you wait 10 to 15 minutes. That's the most I give them, and they still come out right. But then with the development of yeast in the dough, of course you have to wait as long as you can so that they come out perfectly. So that's the downside for me, having to wait 2 times for it to proof so that it comes out nice and bouncy, but the flavor is well worth it. So I would suggest that everybody tries this at least once or twice. If you like it even more times, most people are finding it easier than cooking chapati. So if you find it easier, please do go with it, because cooking at home is such a pleasurable thing if you like it, if you find that you like it. So I had said on my IG that this month I will do a lot of flour product, and that is why I wanted to even try something I don't usually do. So this will be followed by some mandazi and even mahamri. I don't do mahamri just for the same reason that I have to wait too long for it to develop, and if something goes wrong with the yeast, man, you have to do it again, because your mahamri will have freckles and all that. So it's not so tricky, but it does take time and a lot of patience. But I like cooking the easy, fast way because I do it so often, and I like to make it efficient and worth my time. So this is a skill you have to develop. You have to understand your yeast, you have to get the best for your product, and so that is really really important if you do want to do this. So I'm glad I did this, and I will do it again when I have time. But I've been doubting that my yeast is the best, because a few times it hasn't given me the best results, especially with fried product. So I'm taking my time on that. But meanwhile, we'll do so many flour products, and I'm sure they'll come out well. So after this, we just repeat the process. Once we lay the naan on the pan, we apply water on top, and then once we turn it, we apply the butter, and that is how I kept repeating it for all of the 10 naan breads. So now we are almost at the finish line. This came out so nice and soft and bouncy. Uh, I'm checking there just how they feel, and they look so good too. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye bye.